tearing lives, hearts raw scarred. Judges grinning, deals in shadows locked. Caseworkers speaking truth they've mocked. Gunning on for justice, rage intense, bringing kids home from this broken fence. Corruption weighs heavy, laws collapse. Kids go missing behind their maps. CPS stealing kids, no trace. Lies build walls, the truth they erase. Gunners howl, cuts through the air. He won't stop, midnight, he'll get there. Dark hallways where the guilty play. Secrets hiding, hope fades away. A man with fire, voice like a storm. Breaking chains, reform, transform. Gunning on for justice, rage intense, bringing kids home from this broken fence. Corruption weighs heavy, laws collapse. Kids go missing behind their maps. Family shattered, cries dulled by fights. CPS takes them in the dead of night. But Gunner speaks of brighter days, cut through the lies, light ablaze. Shattered, cries dulled by fights. CPS takes them in the dead of night. But Gunner speaks of brighter days, cut through the lies, light ablaze. Behind their maps. Family torn apart, whispers tearing lives, hearts raw scarred. Judges grinning, deals in shadows locked. Caseworkers speaking truth they've mocked. Gunning on for justice, rage intense, bringing kids home from this broken fence. Corruption weighs heavy, laws collapse. Kids go missing behind their maps. Kids, no trace. Lies build walls, the truth they erase. Gunners howl, cuts through the air. He won't stop, midnight, he'll get there. Dark hallways where the guilty play. Secrets hiding, hope fades away. A man with fire, voice like a storm. Breaking chains, reform, transform. Gunning on for justice, rage intense, bringing kids home from this broken fence. Corruption weighs heavy, laws collapse, kids go missing behind their masks. Family shattered, cries dulled by fights. CPS takes them in the dead of night. But Gunner speaks of brighter days, cut through the lies. Light a blaze!
Well, who are we going to piss off today? With knowledge and truth. Hey guys, this is Gunner. Welcome to Gunning for CPS, our special Memorial Day edition. We've got all sorts of great stuff for you guys tonight. A little bit of clarification, a little bit of update. Things are moving excessively fast for the entire team. We have a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of new updates and everything else going on. We're working on the second phase for those that have your children that have gone across state lines. That is the definition for the DOJ and FBI for trafficking is across state lines. So we, in addition to your original affidavit, we are working on a form to fill out for trafficking. And there's several of you that says, hey, listen, I live in South Carolina and my kids are been shipped off to Montana or this or that. That's called trafficking, is what that is. So we are working on that form. A little bit of clarification I'm going to take and show you now for all you out there that have never seen, or everybody says, well, what's the case number? What's this? I'm going to show you. We're going to share this screen. There it is, folks. Oh, there it is. Right there. Who's the judge? Charles E. Ackley, appointed by President Donald Trump, his very, very first term. All this in here. Everybody says, well, how does this do with something national? It's just going against Tennessee. Why? Because we have enough evidence, and the evidence we're going to turn in on this case is going to be all 50 states. And they go, well, what does that mean? We're going to show, and we will show, that the state of Tennessee is part of a national child trafficking ring to traffic your children, steal your children, and so on and so forth. We have all the evidence. It's a slam dunk case. Literally, they don't stand a chance. And you're in front of a if you haven't done your research on Charles Ackley, and you can look why he was appointed, he is a constitutionalist judge. And when I mean constitutionalist, I mean this dude's hardcore Constitution, old school style. Not going to play with nothing. Guys, thanks for joining us. Sharon, as you can see, is in the comments. I hope you guys like that new video. That was actually done, believe it or not, out of I'm originally from Chi-Town, South Side, and the Chicagoland area. And so, one of our other new guests, or not guests, but one of our new hosts, we have two new shows starting up. One of them is going to be Chris, coming out of Chicago, Illinois, that's going to expose a lot of stuff that's going on in Illinois and some of the things of how it's connected to the whole interweb and the network. Sharon is actually going to start up a new series too. I believe it's starting. Darren and I were just talking about this. This is news to her too. Not this Monday, but next Monday, Sharon is going to have her very own show. We're going to announce the time and everything. And her show is going to focus on the aftercare, if you will, once your kids get home. and what that means, the psychological aspects, the time to heal, the time to repair, and understanding, especially if you've been separated from your children for a long period of time, there's going to be a distance. It's not like picking up where you left off. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of psychological aspect and understanding. You've both gone through a trauma, but in a different aspect. And that is one thing with Sharon. And you're saying, well, what qualifies her? She has a degree in psychology and early childhood development, and has, actually worked in the public for a while, but due to the needs she had for her own family, she decided that she was going to use her skill sets and the things that she learned on her own with her own family, because she does have special needs children. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Now, one thing we've got to understand, especially with RFK doing what he's doing, is he's basically pointing out that, the food industry is taking and poisoning us and actually changing our mind. It's talked about what's causing gender dysphoria and everything else. He's saying it's in the food. And they've got the hard evidence. They're shutting this stuff down. They're calling it out. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention this week, but they have been kicking ass. It's just, one of those things to where it's like, here's the food, it's causing poison, and look what it's doing. And then they look at all the effects of everything, let alone how much money they've been making off cancer, and several other things, to say, listen, it's not anything to do with, you've got this thing, this thing. It comes down to parasites and worms. And we're not even treating for that. Why? We're eating out of the grocery store, this and that. Farmers know this, okay? They know that they have to detoxify. If you don't believe me, you can go to just the Amish, do it, and several big, farmers, anything else. When you're dealing with livestock of any kind, goats, pigs, this and that, you're exposed to those things. So you have to treat yourself. When you have to take care of that. And a lot of us are not doing that. We've never been taught that. Instead, it's here, give a pill. And now they're finding out, several things that are going on. It's moving so fast on so many avenues. You've got Kash Patel that's out there. Hey, we've got 3 people arrested this week on treason. Wow. And more to come. And, it's just amazing. And it's moving so fast. But here's the thing. If it's true, which we know it is true, that means the issues that CPS is complaining about your child and you and your family is this has been in your body, and you've been eating this, causing all this system, reproduced, having children, and you've passed it on, and it's causing issues. Same thing with the immunizations. He's like, autism. What's causing autism? It's the immunizations. It's calling people out. And listen, there's a lot of ultra, how do I say this in a proper form? A lot of organized religion is very, very, very promotion of, I know Sharon knows the word and she'll have to help me out. And I know there's a delay, but ultra nationalism, that's what it is. But it's, and the number has jumped. Remember how we had talked to you guys about the last report was over 300,000 children missing? The number has been jumped up to over 500,000 children. 500,000. Wow. How do you think they got them? CPS. So they're causing the problem with us and our children. That's destroying our relationship, destroying our families, destroying our kids, and then calling us bad parents. And, oh, look, your kid has all these problems. Now we need to get involved. You're the one that caused the problem. That's the deep state. That's what you call the corporation, whatever you want to. If you don't believe that, you need to do a history lesson on why they killed JFK. We know now. We know the truth. We know about Martin Luther King. We know about MK Ultra. All these things that were conspiracies are now truths. Blows your mind. It's just amazing the amount of information that's coming, and let alone, yes, a lot of this that they're doing was information that Your guy right here provided to the FBI. That's right. All 50 states, and they got into all of it. Guys, hello to everybody in the audience. Yeah, we've got a lot to cover. Let me show you. Let me see here. You have to excuse me now. I'm going to get the hiccups. But in case you guys didn't catch, here is, once again, they don't say the case is real. Well, is it going to work? Oh, there it is. Here it is. Let me get a drink. Sorry, we switched to tea. We're over to water and lime juice with a little bit of salt. And funny, the first thing they tell you to do as a heart patient is to cut all the sodium and everything else. Well, that's because it's not matched with minerals. So your body can do this. See, they've been keeping this whole thing away from us. And that's all part of this system, including CPS. It's all connected together. Now, as you'll see, you know, the case is active. It's going, and when it was filed and everything else. Once again, what we are doing, we are going to prove in court, we have all the evidence to connect the state of Tennessee as part of a national child trafficking ring. And as a matter of fact, more information, we're doing a little bit more information, but we do believe we have the names of the companies and corporations that are trafficking children internationally. An American-born child, an American child should never leave this country. Never, ever. At the same time, listen, Maya, let me tell you something. The Indian reservations, they're under massive attack for their children. And they're doing massive, massive things that are going on. And if you guys, we've got a thing, you can look it up. It's called the International, what was it? It was a report that was done by the International Down Syndrome Foundation. I'm going to try and get some of that information out on the Facebook page. If you guys don't have Facebook, if you guys have Facebook, you can follow the show and everything that's there. It's gunning for CPS. We're working on a little rebranding. Instead of 4, we're going to go with the number 4, kind of streamline everything. And that information tells you about how back in the 50s and 60s, they would hold on to kids in the sanitariums. So if you had a kid with autism or anything else, they would do a medical experimentation on them. They would have people raping these people, having children with no birth certificates, and shipping them over to California out of Tennessee. Yes, it's in the report. Literally, Tennessee was like really bad. And that was out of Memphis, or not Memphis or Nashville. I can't remember which one, but I know there's one out of Nashville. So I think that's the one that they were talking about. But how they experiment on the kids. Now, RFK has just recently said, and this goes in, and this does affect you with CPS, that when your children become part of state's custody, or they go into foster homes or this or that, they now have control or permission, because we have those documents of what it takes to give permission for experimentation on experimental drugs. And that's what RFK had called out too, is just saying, hey, listen, we now know that these foster homes and stuff like that are allowing big pharma in the foster homes to experiment on these kids. And he's like, oh, hell no. So all of it is interconnected within the food, the medical industry, CPS, trafficking children, the Bar Association. Yeah, I got a lot of people that reach out to me and say, hey, Gunner, we need a lawyer. We need a federal lawyer that's going to do this or this or that. Listen, you can ask Sharon. We went all over the place to look for a federal attorney, and we could not find one. And the one that we did talk to down in Texas looked to nose bomb our case because it would destroy the bar for the evidence we have. And guys, we've got to listen. A lot of you have been asking. Listen, I've got tonight the one, the only, the producer, the CPS Punisher himself. Welcome, Darren.
What is up? How we doing, Gunner? How we doing? Can we hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you 5x5, my friend.
All right, that's good. That's good.
Let's talk about some of these other groups and some of these other things, because you understand, name one time we've asked for a dime. Have we asked for any money to do this, to help with this, or anything else? I mean, yeah, we've got
No,
some
sir.
working on to do the show to maybe cover some of the show costs and everything else. But here's the thing.
I don't even think,
How
you know
many?
what? I don't even think, rarely, out of the 700 shows, I think maybe in a handful, you would get that we've asked for something,
Yeah.
maybe. But that's to
Um,
be,
now, understand that Darren, you do have a bar card, right?
I do.
Okay.
Watch, we can pull up my
Let's.
membership number.
I mean, it can come all the way up there. So let's talk about
Mhm.
some of these movements and other things different from us, because one of the things that we tell people is when you fill out the affidavit, you are a federal witness and you do get federal protection. Name one other movement or anything out there that is giving that out to you for your affidavit. None of them.
Short of the mafia, short of the mafia, which doesn't exist. I wouldn't think very many people.
So now,
Because
if
here's
we've
the thing.
got,
Because here's the thing, is people that are involved in family court aren't supposed to be in the federal court. We figured out how to get around that so that they are allowed to get their constitutional arguments out there. Like that's the thing here. That's why you're not going to find that, because people are going to get hung up on Rooker-Feldman. There's a couple other cases that that we had to do some research on and figure out how to make that happen. Because in federal court, if you go there to argue the decision of your termination of parental rights or anything that has to do with your child's case, then they will throw it out immediately. It has to solely do with constitutional issues. And we've had to figure out how to make the constitutional issues and the family court rulings as one. And we did it. So
yeah,
so far,
it,
yes, knock on wood.
yeah,
But
so
we
far
did.
we're doing good so far. We've got no anything. Once all this hits, like I said, we're able to do all these different things. Still collecting affidavits. We're still allowed to do like I said, go through things. We're not doing depositions, and everybody goes, well, that's just crazy you do. I said, that's a lawyer's trick. Why? Because then my opposition gets a chance to see my hand and watch me do something. Not a chance. We're going to go to court and we're going to go before the jury and the judge. You should already know when I call you, because I'm going to ask you specific questions you should already know about. But let's talk about this thing that a lot of people don't understand, that everybody says, hey, I'm going to do this big case. I'm going to do all this other stuff and all these different things. I don't think they understand that your case has got to be filed in the district where the crime happened. Oh,
Jurisdiction rule, right?
You hear that? Jurisdiction. So how is somebody supposed to take and gather all this stuff and say, hey, I'm going to take it to this or to that or directly to the Supreme Court? I mean, we're in the Supreme Court, obviously, because you're in federal court. Hello. But, you've got people all over and they're saying, well, how do you? And that's where we figured out the other part, too, of saying, listen, fill out the affidavit. The affidavit form itself that you have is almost as similar as filing your motion for your own federal case, which is what we're encouraging you to do. Because Darren, who wins the most? Who makes the most money? As far as I know, that's nothing to do with, but repercussions and receiving money in a class action lawsuit. Who makes the most money? The people
lawyers
or the attorney?
The lawyers, always. Well, the biggest part of a class action suit is, first of all, you have to pay to have all those people served. So if you filed this class action and you had 100,000 people sign up to be in this, which this could go to 100,000 people, you'd have to pay for every one of them to be served. Just that alone, you're going to have that. That's almost $500,000 right there just to do that.
Without even blinking an eye. Yeah.
Right. Without even thinking about it. So
we bypassed a lot of that due to the fact that I am considered, and a lot of you guys out there, when you file your stuff, there is a form called an indigent form. Okay. If you're disabled, don't have the money to set, once again, CHF, pacemaker, the whole 9 yards, I can get in, and then guess what? It all kicks in, and guess whose the dime goes on? It goes on the United States government. And it's served by who? The U.S. Marshals. So now you're getting the pass. So we're not wanting you, we're wanting people to come out and do their affidavits to show the impact of what we're proving already with the evidence. And the concept is file your own case now. Now drain the courts, drain the state. There's the goal. Make it so overwhelming for the state with filing your own cases with even begin, because now with what we've given you, all you got to do is add your evidence and an exhibit sheet and file. You've seen on what we've seen on the screen earlier. If not, you can go back and watch the video. And once again, this is on the CPS Breaking News Network, as well as our channel, Gunning for CPS on YouTube. You can go back and watch the video and take your time and pause it and everything else and really read through the stuff. So yes, we do take and move a lot of really fast sometimes. And I talk fast, move fast, and it's hard to keep up. And I know a lot of people have that. And Darren's like, oh yeah, he's crazy. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just the way my brain works. But the issue is, that's the beauty of technology. Go back to the show, watch the video. If you've missed something, that's what they're there for. But you can see how it's itemized. And it's real simple. This is exhibits. And you just cite the exhibits of where it fits into your story. It's that simple.
Well, here's the other thing too. With the class action suit, we're only going to be able to go after X amount. It's going to be an insurance payout. There's going to be no effect on CPS. The way that we're doing it, each individual case will have their own independent payout. So there's not going to be an X amount. So let's say, like you all get, X amount of dollars because of this, or this. This is your own thing to do, man. Like, you can get in with us. And someone just said more affidavits, the better they are. Because listen, those affidavits, those are, my buddy, an angry citizen, always says this. He says, that is the truth of God. That's the truth of God right there. Bang. There's nothing more that tells you. That is something right there. When you send an affidavit in and you tell them what's involved in your story and you sign that affidavit, you are willing to put yourself in prison for, I believe it's 1 to 5 years under the penalties of perjury. Sign that affidavit and you are lying on there. You will go to jail. You can be penalized tremendously. So you are literally, when you write that affidavit, you are telling them that I am willing to put my life pretty much on the line with what I'm writing inside of these statements. And that means a lot. Don't take the affidavit lightly. Do not take the affidavit lightly. This is something that is not often,
very powerful.
They're not used enough. The amount of impact that they have and the amount of weight that they hold as far as truthfulness, it's huge. And I don't know why more people don't use the affidavit, but they don't. So, but we are.
A lot of these state judges aren't even recognizing half the stuff. I mean, hell, they ain't even following the Constitution. What makes you think they're going to do anything else? And that's why these lawyers, hey, we'll just do this. We'll just do this. We'll just do. No. One, if I got a constitutional rights violation in any case, what happens, Darren? What's supposed to happen under the law?
They're supposed to put a stay on everything. Well, you're supposed to be staying until the authorized person until someone who is authorized to rule on the constitutional challenge can get to
jurisdiction. Your state, does your state have jurisdiction on constitutional issues, Darren?
No, it doesn't.
Which court does have the only jurisdiction?
Well, I mean, you can go. That's the federal courts. Any court that's federal in your area. But here's the other thing. If you are having a problem with arguing your constitutional rights in your states, if there is an issue in the courthouse, you can't get to federal. If you're stuck in your case where you are, I'm not saying that it affects what we're doing or whatever, but if you are having an argument and you can't get out of it, just match your state's constitution with what you're trying to argue constitutionally with a federal judge. If they're not allowing you to get out of it, which they do, they like armbar you, because all of our state's constitutions pretty much mimic the actual U.S. Constitution.
There's a clause in all 50 states in their state constitutions that there is a clause in there that specifically says that it defers back to the Constitution of the United States of America being the supreme law of the land. It's in every state constitution. It's never been changed. If you guys look at your state constitution, you're going to find it. It's not that hard to find.
But what you can do is you can argue your state's constitution, because these actors and so on
Mhm.
have put themselves into the state's hands, and they do work for the state, which means that they've sworn an oath to the state, and they do have to uphold their state's constitution. So
Mhm.
pull that one out of your sleeve and watch them chew on it a little bit, because they get pretty pissed when you do that. They definitely do.
They hate people that have knowledge and education walking into the courtroom. Um, Definitely. Now, I don't think a lot of people understand, because a lot of people have asked me, they say, well, oh, you know, you're going to get your butt kicked. You're going to do this. You're going to do that because you need a federal attorney and they need to do this, that. And I don't think many people understand that the Constitution is common law. It's not the same that the states use. And therefore, you're in a common law court. And remember this, because of the Constitution, and what it says, we, the people, are the government. When you walk into the courtroom and you exercise and announce and get the court to acknowledge of pro se sui juris, you are now in control of that courtroom, because you are the government and they all work for you and they have to take and follow this. Changes the game completely. If you have a federal attorney, you have hired somebody else to basically tell the court, I am not competent enough to articulate in court what I need to do, is exactly what it says. And that's exactly how the court looks at it. But as soon as you pop that thing on there, you're on the same playing field as somebody else. Why? No legalese, none of that fancy jargon. We're a common law, common language court. And then with a jury, you're going to have to be, because you're going to have to communicate with the jury and have them understand what you're saying. See, big difference versus a bunch of lawyers and a judge or a magistrate, and they're all having all, well, your honor code, this and this and that, and no jury, even though that's unconstitutional because it's a due process violation. But yeah, I mean, when you understand the power that you actually have as we the people, Darren, I don't think most people understand that at all.
And that's why we try to, this channel, every show tries to hit on the constitutional, because people don't understand the power that they truly have, and they don't understand what they have in the Constitution. It's not just don't get me. It's not just the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, but the Bill of Rights. So don't get those parts confused in what they do, even though one's the similar as the other, but where you draw your rights from. But that is so powerful. And the problem is we're letting them. Do you remember, I think it was about 15 to 20 years ago, when there was all over the TV, you know what, it might have even been a little bit more than that, because I might have even been a child. And do you remember when they were burning the flags all over the United States?
Oh,
do you remember when
and
they were burning them, and they were saying it was their right, it was their right, it was their right. However, it had already been in the law. They were saying that was their Constitution. It never said in the Constitution that you burn the flag, ever. But they were trying to force it in there that was their right of freedom of speech.
No,
and everybody started burning.
There's actually a law for desecration of the flag that is so well protected.
Right, they put a law into place. So these people were trying to make it a constitutional argument, and the United States actually said, "Hell no, you are not burning our flags. The only time that you burn a flag is when you need to dispose of it. That's the only time that you ever burn a flag
Properly. Make sure a veteran, the Boy Scouts, if you go to an American Legion, any of those people that do it right, every veteran should know how to properly dispose of a flag. Let me just make that very clear. When we handle those things, we do have a very similar ceremony. We make sure that they honor patriots. Why? Because that flag, and especially on this Memorial Day weekend, let me get something real fucking clear. That flag was paid for with blood. Blood you didn't shed, even though you take and you enjoy the freedoms or the things that you do have, whether it's getting you a Frappuccino over at Starbucks or 1,000 things on your phone or Candy Crush, it doesn't matter. That flag was paid for by the blood of Americans.
That's right.
And for anybody to come off of that, I'm sorry, that's an ass whooping. I don't care. And if you see in the background, yeah, we've got military history in this family. Fuck around and find out.
And please, guys, don't, this holiday weekend, it's Memorial Day. It's not Veterans Day. So don't thank and don't give praise to a veteran on this holiday as much as they appreciate it and thank them. It's the wrong holiday, guys. That's Veterans Day that you do that. Yeah. Memorial Day is for those that gave their lives and for this country. And that's, for Arlington, and to go put, if you're going to go, but don't, thank a veteran on Memorial Day. It's kind of an insult, actually.
But, all of this, Darren, though, stems from the other part that we put together, which is the Department of Education. This is your tax money and federal tax money going into these school systems that are getting paid for this, and your children are graduating and cannot read in the original format, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Federalist Papers, the Declaration of Independence. They can't. So how are they going to know their rights? That was part of their plan.
Of course.
You're supposed to graduate from high school, know your constitutional rights, know what you, because at 18, you get to vote. And they have shown us exactly what that means across this country. Oh, I can vote. I have the power to vote, but I ain't got a lick of fucking sense on what my fucking rights are.
Right.
Other than what somebody told me. And that's been proven over and over and over again with social media. And this is what they hate with social media and platforms like this is education. They don't want you to know your rights.
Oh, what are you talking about? Misinformation. We give misinformation all the time, according to them, right?
Well, now that was put back in for propaganda. Believe it or not, a presidential order was put in that they could use propaganda from MK Ultra on the American people. Twice. Clinton, Obama. See the connection? Now, let's go a little bit further. Who were the ones that weaponized and made CPS the weapon it is? Clinton and Obama. Clinton with the Family Cares and Adoption Act, and Obama had something similar during his term. They are all cashing in on this, and now all the exposure is coming out of all these crooked politicians and the kickbacks and everything else. And now, what did they get today? This past week, what did they arrest 3 on treason this week? Cash Patel did?
I don't know. I haven't been around. I haven't seen the news, so I've been caught up.
It's all the corrupt cabal of those that wish. Here's the point of the Constitution. You can exercise your rights and do whatever it is you want to do, so long as you don't inflict damage on a person or property. Right. Just that simple. All this other bullshit that they've got going on, that's called a police state. And people say, well, and listen, there's the other part people don't understand. What's the difference between the police and the sheriff? There you go. The common law. Police and a sheriff was, and the difference between the police work for the city to enforce city codes and applicable and everything else in there. They're not even constitutional elected. They're appointed by the mayor. That's not even an elected official. Your sheriff is a constitutionally elected sheriff. Now, here's the other part. We know about the stand down order every state was given by every state to law enforcement to not interfere with CPS. That's right. Your local sheriff was given a stand down order by the state. To not interfere. Yeah, we uncovered all of that with this. Hey, they've even told that, deputies all across the state here in Tennessee and other places I've talked to other deputies. Oh, no, we've been told to stand down and not to interfere and only to assist them. So I go, well, what happens if they commit a crime in front of you? We're told not to interfere.
Wow.
That's why they're getting away with this shit.
Who let this out?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I broke that because I did the research and I talked to the deputies across the nation. And here's the beautiful thing. Oh, you'll never get them to take it and get that on the stand. Yeah, I will. You know why? Because they were given a direct order. And when they're given a direct order, they're not held accountable for it.
What are we going to do what are they going to do when the American Bar Association errs on the side of termination of parental rights is wrong? What are we going to do what are they going to do then? What are these guys and their lawyers going to do then? Because that's where it's Heather, they did to me too. When you try to challenge a judge to a duel in their courtroom, and they don't like that. So I understand exactly what you're saying.
You know how ignorant they are? Do you know that? Did you know that when you're in the courtroom, right? What's usually standing there if you're in the county courthouse? A deputy, right?
Yeah, he's there
Who's
to protect
powerful?
them. The bailiff is supposed to protect.
Who's the most powerful person?
Them. The bailiff, right? The bailiff is supposed to be protecting making sure that the judge is doing everything in a constitutional manner. He's supposed to.
Everybody is doing something constitutional.
Dallas.
Lawyers judge this. There's Dallas.
Yeah.
Listen, and it goes even deeper, man. They're even writing more stuff in there. There's some research I got. I got an email tonight to do some research on some law, some new stuff that goes into effect in 2025 for law enforcement about, doing background checks and this and that and all that other stuff of how they're getting possession of children and how they're doing it. Listen, this is all out war against the Constitution and against the people. Bottom line. And that's what this case exposes, is all of it. All of it. We've got everything. We know it.
If you guys want these, they're very hard to come by. It's called the Anderson Sheriff's Manual. These are what the sheriffs should be doing. This is the breakdown of their jobs. I've got two. They feel like 750 pages a piece. I have volumes 1 and 2. Email us and we'll get them to you. When you go and you're dealing with your sheriffs, you should go there first and give them this and say, listen, you guys want to read about your job before I come and ask you to do what you're supposed to do. Did you know, do you know that the sheriff is supposed to run the militia? The sheriff is, that's supposed to be the sheriff's job, is to set the militia up. There's a lot of things that the sheriff doesn't do. So, and this is why the void ab initio works so great, because it doesn't have to be adjudicated, but you get yourself an order by the way that we have gone about getting it. So that order is in your file. So by rights, you should be able to go to the sheriff and say, look, I have a legal court order of void ab initio to get my kid back. And the sheriffs are supposed to enforce that. The sheriffs are supposed to enforce any order, and they're supposed to make sure that no order is enforced that is unconstitutional. So a lot of these bailiffs and sheriffs got some answering to do. They sure do. A lot
of people got some answering to do that have not been doing. We have elected these people, or they've been appointed or whatever, but their number one thing is, well, I have to follow the state's policies and procedure. No, you took an oath. That's where you messed up. And do you realize what the penalty for violation of your oath is? Yeah, big time. You're going to start pulling oaths on people. Big time, because this is going all through, and they're going to let this ride through. Why? Because we're working side by side. You see the administration doing this stuff, and we're doing this stuff. So that's why we're telling you guys, all 50 states, keep making that noise. Hey, we've got a solution. All the other movements pushing on this thing. Why? Nobody's got a solution. Nobody says end it. This is enough to point out exactly what they are, show that they're all unconstitutional, and it means shut them down. If it's unconstitutional and it's proven in court, you know what the power of that judge has to do, or the power of the judge can do? A cease and desist. Immediate for violation of constitutional rights, and shut them down. What, you think it's going to get that far before everybody else gets there? No. Why? Who are some of the witnesses? Well, we're going to handpick some of the worst cases and everything else to testify. This is what's going on here. This is going here. And the same thing's happening in this state. And then we get to put RFK on the stand and say, you've done all the investigations. You've done all this other stuff. Answer me. Where do those 500 children come from? CPS. Okay. What about this? What about the experimentation in foster homes? Who was doing that? Is that all connected to foster care? Yep. We've got confirmation of all that. Now, what if I told you obtained every single one of those kids illegally by violating constitutional rights? Now we got a problem, because you just declared war. And for the judges and the magistrates that turn around and go, well, I didn't see it. I didn't know it. Did you look at the CPS report? Because it's right in there. Every single case. We got you. And if you tamper with that, did you know that those servers are also monitored by the Department of Health and Human Services? Yeah. logged in, the whole 9 yards. And how do you know they're not watching? See, a lot of people are getting nervous right now, Darren, and they're getting a little scared. And now a lot of people have asked too. They said, "Well, what about this federal witness and turning in the affidavit?" That's what we've been working on this weekend, Darren and I, talking about it. Doing some research, so on and so forth. We posted a video that was out of Illinois that even the attorney said holding children as hostage, where there's no this and that, is a form of intimidation or coercion, and you can't do that. It's defined. And we're connecting that with the federal law with that when that comes in. So when you do the affidavit, we give you the sheet, you turn it into your judge, you put it on your case, and you do this, and you go, give me my kids back because I'm a federal witness and holding on to my kids with no crime and by a jury or in a criminal court. Give me my kids back now. If not, I'm calling the DOJ and the FBI, and then I'm having you charged with Federal Witness Protection Act crimes. What does that mean? Judges will go to jail. Magistrates will be arrested and go to jail. Sheriffs, police officers, this and that. Do you know that there's the people I don't think a lot of people understand is the power of the federal witness and how much protection it actually gets. And you can go look up the Federal Witness Protection Act. They don't play. And then you got to go before you know who they bring you for. In our case, Charles Ashley. Why did you intimidate my witnesses or the witnesses over here? You'll have an appearance before him. You will be extradited if you're from another state to come to this court. Why did you mess with this witness? Game over. Now that goes on your permanent record, or guess what? You're now remanded. Tables turned, didn't it? Yeah, let's lock up the courts, empty the courts, and let them know what's coming and putting them all on notice. What you're doing with this affidavit is you're testifying against your state that your state is using unconstitutional practices to obtain your children. We've got their training manuals. We've got their books. We've got everything to prove it. It's open and shut. They printed their own demise. It's not that hard. It's a walk in the park when you know where to look. And a lot of people, the thing that gets me, Darren, is if I found this out, just little old me, what about all these high-priced federal lawyers and everybody else that's been going on with this stuff? Nobody in the law, and none of the judges, nobody's catching this.
I think a lot of people have. I think this is a lot of work from a lot of people that have done a lot of things. Like Dallas has been neck deep into this stuff for a long time. He's figured some things out. Michael there in New York, there's Vince Davis. A lot of lawyers have done a lot of work to piece these things together. They just haven't went for the gold, and you know what I mean, in this presence. Yeah. And then but until these cases opened up too, that made these things possible. Like
Chevron being overturned,
Chevron and things like that, right?
Although,
so there's been cases that have opened up that they haven't had the opportunity that and we've been given that we've done. But like these guys,
absolutely,
a lot of people have put their time in on this thing, and they've been rejected. And it sucks because they were right on with what they were arguing, and to not be able to get around certain things just because you couldn't get the angle, like that really sucks, but we got it. Like as they say, like, let us bring you home, guys.
Get around constitutional rights. It's an absolute, it's an automatic into the Fed because nobody else has jurisdiction. See, when you had constitutional rights, you lost jurisdiction. It should have been, what should have been done, which, wait a minute, I had an attorney. How come he didn't know that? He didn't have a federal license, does he? Now you've caught on to the game of the Bar Association. That's right. Inadequate counsel. If you have constitutional rights, that should be an automatic form to them. We have a constitutional rights violation. We now need to file in federal court and go under federal question and ask the question, hey, if this has happened, especially if you have illegal entry, if my constitutional rights and Fourth Amendment's been violated from the very beginning of my case, If that's the case, and that's true with this situation, they failed to provide a warrant, a court order, or anything legal, which a federal judge will review those things, including catching auto pen now, or imminent danger, and it has to be articulated a very certain way according to the federal statute, not the state statute, the federal statute. And yes, there are federal case law rulings. If you don't have those, that puts the burden upon the state. Produce them. If not, you're kind of screwed, because then what else kicks in? What doctrine kicks in after that, Darren? Old stinky fruit.
Yeah, well, you call it fruit of the poisonous tree. I like to go back to void ab initio, or like things like that, which all means that from this thing comes nothing. Like it means that from this point on, anything that, so even if you got arrested, if you even got arrested from your child being taken or whatever said point it is in your case, but if it caused you any sort of legal action or whatever, that's all see you later, bye. It's no good. So if you got a domestic violence
you shouldn't even be in there.
Right, it's all good.
Case done.
So
that's the thing that the judges and magistrates are doing, though, because they know if it goes to federal court and somebody does do that, they know it's going to get kicked out. And then what happens? Now they get to file on everybody that caused this for what? Fraud upon the court. You filed a fraudulent case.
Let's clarify this. Let's clarify this first too with Jen. No, sure. I am not the lawyer. Gunner is the pro se proper. He's the he's the man. He's it. He's the lawyer.
I'm the asshole.
His case.
I'm the designated asshole.
It's not So that would be that. The other thing that came up here. That's awesome. That's crazy. That's just when I was down there too. There's something else that just came up that, Jen, Vincent does want $50,000 to help families, but you know what? His colleges and his career and everything he's done, that's, what? Look, I just came from a place that you pay to play. Like if you want to know that you're most likely going to win your case, then you got to pay $50,000 to go to the, however he gets it done, he gets it done. Sorry, that's his deal. You can't knock a guy for, making a living.
Yeah. And
And
once again, that goes into the fact you don't know. You don't have the education, this and that. Once again, as we said before, you don't have the skills to argue that stuff in court. Now, when we go, and Sharon and I go, yes, we can have an attorney for the children if we have the children. Something we're looking at. We're not to that point now. But what that means is when we go in, Sharon and I are representing we the people. That's why we call this the we the people case. It's us. It's not a lawyer. It's not that. And it's the fact of articulating and knowing your constitutional rights and knowing how things work and saying, regardless of anything else, here's the beautiful thing. It's the Constitution. It's not negotiable. And especially before a constitutionalist judge, good luck. It's not going to happen. And what do you think this country's going back to? Peeling off all the crap and all the corruption and the deep state and all the other stuff. And we are going back to the Constitution a step at a time. Everybody says, well, why doesn't he just move in and just do this? Because it's a process. And what did he tell you from the beginning, first term? We're going to do this the right way. That's what we're doing.
It's a dance, man. It's a dance.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it too is a lot that we've been taught too within our society of instant gratification. I want it and I want it now. Like the commercial. J.G. Wentworth. It's my money and I want it now. You remember those old commercials?
Yeah. Called J.G. Wentworth. 1-800 cash now.
Yeah. And here's the other thing people don't understand. Once you fill out this affidavit and everything's done, no state will ever have jurisdiction over you because you testified in a case that involved all 50 states for treason and sedition. Okay, well, what do we do now, Gunnar? Because we are connected to the state. We're working on that. As a matter of fact, I think Darren's got somebody he's working on too. It's part of some of that different movement. But April Lejeune has agreed to come on board. We're going to have her on probably one of our shows and talk about how to separate yourself from the corporation or the state, which you don't have to be a part of. It's actually voluntary, and reclaim those contracts and get back control of your life and say, well, I need a license. Oh, he's talking about the private. No, I'm talking about you get a US DOT plate properly as a, I said that, not the private thing. You're talking registered properly where you're not causing issues. Okay. Your driver's license, everything else, it's your passport. You get an international driver's license, and you still have to renew your passport the same way you have to renew anything else. Well, what about my gun rights and this and this and that? I wouldn't worry about it because no state has jurisdiction to enforce anything on you. So what are you going to do? All you have to do is, I was part of this federal case against all of you. You can't. That's called retaliation. You want a lawsuit? Because it's not going to be hard to win or prove. Now, do we want you to go out there and break laws and do stupid shit? No. Do what the Constitution says and learn how to govern ourselves without dealing with the courts, without dealing with the people, and grow the fuck up for a change and start acting like adults and humans and being distant and knock this crap off and quit with the arguments. Listen, they have designed the whole system to destroy your marriage. When it comes down to it, I know a lot of you have been through marriage or this. They designed this to destroy your family, get at your kids, and make you miserable your entire life. That was the death of the American dream. And if you try, big corporations or big companies, they just go to their local places. We dealt with that here as a business owner. We had competition. We started to grow, do things with what I did as a master electrician. Great contracts, certified in all the generator systems that are actually made. So I can work on all those and have full knowledge and accreditations for all those. But that's one of those things that, what's your competition? It's somebody that just has better politics or like to kiss people's asses and play politics. I didn't do that. I'm going to come in, do this for a fair price, and we gone. They didn't like that. So you even have people that are connected in politics and bigger businesses pushing people out of the way, not letting them have it. There's enough out there for people not to do that. There's enough work. Do you know how much work is needed in the trades for qualified personnel as welders?
Is there anybody that even works?
HVAC?
Who works in the trades now that's under the age of 40? Come on.
Yeah. And there's the other thing. Y'all better figure something out, because my old ass is retired. This all that's up here, nothing to pass it on to, anything else. They wanted to take all of it. So you know what? Now you lose all that. You lose every bit of it. Well, you should have done this, or union or not, doesn't have anything to do with the experience. You're dealing with all new construction. How many of you are doing troubleshooting within complicated systems of stuff that has been there for 50 years and you got to keep it running? Yeah, those things still exist. Yeah, they do some updates, but you still got to understand how the old timers did stuff back in the 40s and the 50s. And, then, and let alone you get in your house and you go, hey, I did a house remodel. What's this stuff here? That's called knob and tube. Yeah, old school stuff. Or, hey, what's this silver Romex looking stuff and this and that? That's got asbestos.
Don't touch it. Just don't
touch it.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done a lot to advance things, and you guys realize this country was the one that found a way to bring electricity into your homes and all across the world. We founded that shit.
That's
well, a way to charge for it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Our infrastructure with, like I said, that was with the building of the dams and everything else. That was to get power. You realize there's still houses. I'm in one of the older infrastructure places here in Tennessee. If you go close to the dam, that they've got houses where people used to live there just to maintain the dam, and they have 3-phase power at their house, which is much more stable. It's much more efficient, and it costs a whole lot less because of the way it's done. So there's a lot that we've done in this country for intervention. That we've other countries have come to us and said, hey, do you know how much money they were paying Americans to go set up electrical infrastructures in other countries. I mean, they were doing it over in Afghanistan and a lot of other places. I mean, it was crazy. Places that don't have it. I mean, now, just about anywhere, unless you're in the middle of the damn woods or just completely out of reach for anything, yeah, you got to have your own power, an old standby generator. Something for that, especially in places like Alaska that is extremely remote in a lot of places. But I just don't think a lot of people understand the power that we have within the Constitution, the power of going pro se sui juris, getting that education, making the arguments yourself, and just keeping it as simple as constitutional rights. It's not really that difficult. But once again, you got to know your rights, and the rest of it you kind of figure out along the way. And once you get it down, listen, there's people that have been doing this longer than I have or anybody else. And you guys have probably seen them on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook, this and that they've argued a case before the federal court and say, please, I dare you, send me to federal court and watch me tear you up. I want you to give me that ticket. I want you to do this and that. And it took one person to screw it up. He's just probably working on the back end something. That's why his camera's off.
Yeah, I'm back here.
Chris, you kind of missed it because we opened the show. We actually played the video that you made. So Chris has got a whole lot of creative stuff, man. And we're looking forward to having Chris having her own show. Darren's going to be getting with her and getting her set up on a slot. Sharon is definitely coming, doing the healing side of things. On Monday nights, not this Monday, of course, because of the holiday, but the Monday after, we're getting the artwork, we're getting some of the music together. Maybe even Chris will pitch in there a little bit and find a few things with music or so on and so forth. And that's why a lot of Sharon says, because she homeschools, is you have to learn to unschool your children. Not 8 hours a day. I mean, it takes a couple hours a day, and the rest of it, your kids just do stuff naturally, and you learn and you make it applicable. What measurements and liquid measure? What you get all that in the kitchen. Working on a vehicle, you learn mechanics, maintenance and stuff. If you're out in the garden, you're learning how stuff's growing. This is the natural way. That's the way we were doing it, and why we were so intelligent at a time with American. But since the Department of Education, you know what we've done? Bomb. It's not working. It's time to shut it down. It's time to go back to the way it did work. What does that mean? That means some changes. That means some sacrifice. And it also makes you question again, if I've got to do all that, then I've got to do this, or I've got to do that. I've got to provide, and I've got to make it livable. They're working on it. They're working on it, making it till we can go back to a one-income family and raise our children. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this stuff, is getting these things that have had control, such as corporations and big pharma and this, that. Your kids are modeled after your work week. They go to school 40 hours a week with a lunch break. And then back in the class. Kids aren't meant to be like that, man. And that's ridiculous. And that's why the kids are so messed up. And now they're hooked on, I mean, I seen a lawsuit the other day, Darren, on suing video game companies for addiction. Because, I mean, they just can't get, and it is a struggle, because I have a son that actually has some issues. We drag him the hell out. Hey, knock it off. Let's go over here. But at the same time, what do you do when you start working? You ain't gonna have time for that stuff. And let alone, now they're coming to realize some of the things that we should work less out of the home and just be able to hold on to our property and work our property. And it's actually not it's not cost effective anymore to spend all the money to have all these things. But we've become such addicts to capitalism and to things, and we've lost sight of what's truly important to us, which is our family. Well, guess what? They started destroying the family when that happened. You got to fight for your family. And, the thing I love about Sharon, she goes, you know what? It's always true. She goes, a lot of people want to do this or that, but for men, he says, the thing is, a woman's not going to make hold a man accountable. It's got to be a man that holds another man accountable for it to stick. And that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
And there's the other problem. We used to have accountability, but then you had a bunch of bitches that ended up doing some messed up stuff and they got an ass whooping. And then I'm on assault charges. No, you should have taken your ass whipping and corrected your attitude. I'm sorry.
That time is come and gone, man, where people accepted their own responsibilities for their actions. Yeah. It's always somebody else's fault, you know? It really is nowadays.
Now,
it really is. Yeah, don't forget, guys, bringing back Brenda's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you check her out. It's good stuff. And Louis, the answer to your question is no, you cannot. They will not just dismiss the case if a bailiff isn't present. The judge will figure out the best way to move along so that the court is safe and so on and so on. But no, so good question, but not going to get it today, buddy. I think that's what you should do, guys. I think you should have a question, like a trivia question every week that you ask, you know, and we'll start doing something. Because we got things coming up. So, you know, maybe we start doing something along the way as a prize. You know, that'd be cool. Maybe they can be a special guest on your show or something. I don't know if he's frozen or in deep thought. Which ones do you guys think? I haven't seen him blink. Or am I frozen? Oh, there he is. There he moved. Moving in. Yeah. Well, I guess this one's mine. Oh, there he is. Well, Gunner's joined his own show back. Come on in. Water's fine.
Once again, guys, leave it to technology. They want to shut us down. They want to keep us quiet.
That's the man watching right there, baby. That's the man watching.
Hey, all eyes on me. I got zero fucks. Go ahead. That's the best you got. That ain't gonna stop.
That's right. Fuck them.
You want to come after me? Now you don't understand. Now you don't see the millions behind me. There's your biggest mistake. Now we, the people, are organized. We've got a case. We know what we're doing. It's done. It's just done. Done and over. And as we were collecting and sifting through everything, is how do we present this to the court? How do we do that? So there's been, like a year now, about a year. We've been working on this, trying to piece all these little pieces together. And how does this work? And how do we make it airtight? And, you know, how do we, put them into such a corner that there's this no damn way, and understand this before a jury. And that's what I think I'm kind of excited too is, put me in the courtroom. And anybody will tell you that knows me, that's not a good idea. Because we'll have definitely some really hurt your feelings. Well, hurt your feelings, and what are you going to do? Argue the Constitution with me, because it's pretty clear. Right. I'm sorry that hurts your feelings. It doesn't fit your policies and procedures, but.
This is during COVID. Oh wow. Trump says that for the parents to have decent representation. Steal it. Yeah, that's true. Not Obama, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden. Chris says. Gunner's frozen again, guys. Mother-in-law got her case dismissed because she showed up in a virtual court and no one else showed up. Yeah, that's probably what happened back then when they used the computers to do all that stuff, and everybody's getting back. They're trying to get back out of that realm, but everybody gets so comfortable with being stuck in that COVID land. Let's see here. I'll give Gunner another couple of seconds here.
One of the rules.
There he is. Boy, it looks like he's going to drink out of a straw. And he frozen. Yeah, here he comes again. Yeah, there comes the guy.
Yeah, sorry
Oh,
guys.
twins.
They have got us on their radar. Every time about this time, yeah, it's just there goes your internet. It's completely gone.
Mhm.
Uh, Darren was
Candace.
doing it was having a lot for Darren. So I mean, there's a whole lot that's out there. But guys, we've got a lot of information um, on our YouTube page. There's a lot of things on there, such as if you guys don't know how CPS started or the history of CPS, we actually have a video on our YouTube page labeled CPS and how it started and how it was connected to the sanitariums. And when the sanitariums closed under Ronald Reagan, how that same regime took over well, the same stuff that they were doing in those sanitariums, they are now doing in foster care. They're doing in through the state. It's the same boss. It's the new boss, same as the old boss, and just relabeled. So it's the same people with the same concept that's there. That I think is the amazing thing is, these people went before certain politicians and said, "Listen, you took all of our money. We got a bunch of people that are out of a job. What can we do now?" Well, Ronald Reagan shut it down. Guess who comes in? Oh, Billy Willie Clinton. Here's some way for you to make some
Yeah.
money.
Woo. He
Yeah.
liked to go over there on the Lolita Express.
Yeah, he was a little something something.
Yeah.
And a lot of people with the Epstein thing, guys, listen, there are national security issues in there that they have to make sure it's secured and our nation is secured before they do a complete dump.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, it's just amazing. And like I said, if you go to that video, we actually cite what we were talking about the International Organization of Down Syndrome. That's actually in there with all the details and everything else that you could go back and look for yourselves and do your own research. That's just amazing amount of information, and this is internationally published, so it's extremely well organized because actually it became a human rights issue here in this
Well,
country. So
well, you know
that was
that
something that was feeling on the Hague.
87% of the kids that are rescued throughout the world in the United States, I mean that the United Nations has rescued in their missions, 87% of the kids that they get back have come through CPS.
Yep. Either in this country or whatever they call it in other countries. And that's why, yes, we are international. So, yes, this does reach internationally. I think we've got, I don't know who we have in here tonight. Canada, we've had New Zealand, we've had Australia that's reached out, Tasmania, Scotland, Ireland, Great Britain. I mean, guys, this show is reaching all across the world because they're watching us to see how we take down that system, and they're going to do the same thing, is what they're looking to do. And understand, we didn't want this. We didn't ask for this. This was something that was thrown in our lap that basically you've given me no choice but to destroy you now when you came after me. So now, once again, this is just me being a man of my word. When I told the caseworker with all the shit he done and they smiled and everything else, I made him a promise. I says, understand this. I'm going to take you and all your buddies and your whole corrupt system, and I'm going to bring it down upon your head to where you're going to feel the hand of the creator himself touch your soul and expose the blackness in your soul for the whole world to see.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Once again, I'm making good on a promise because, I don't have threats. I have promises. And a lot of people found out the hard way on that throughout my life, as I'm sure Darren could say the same, that, some lessons had to be taught. School's been in session and one way or another. But once again, everybody's like, oh, do it peacefully, do it. I mean, our founding fathers knew we were going to face something like this. They knew it. They knew that they were going to come after it,
Mhm.
after the Constitution, after this country, which is why it's so beautifully written that once it gets to a certain point, we have the power. It's not within the elected appointed officials, which is what they're thinking. Well, we are the government. No, you're not. We are. And that's the point that's going to be made. And the court will back that up 100% of going, he's right.
Well, they're
That's what
supposed
it
to.
says.
They're supposed to.
And I think that's just a lot with, like I said, I think there's so much going on that people just don't understand. And that we've moved and then we've tried to explain. And at the same time, it's just been crazy trying to keep up with stuff, let alone trying to push stuff on the case and finding this out and making sure you guys get what you need, get what we need for the case, get prepared for the case and anything else that they can throw at us or anything they might throw at us. And a lot of people asked, they said, okay. And they don't understand. They're like, well, when's the trial date? When's the trial date? We're very early on in our case. We have not even gone to mediation, that's the part where the state and all their people are going to sit down in a little room before the magistrate. That's the second name on there, and is a mediator to see if you can come up with an agreement to close the case and not move forward. And if you'll settle out of court, and 90% every time that if you've really got them, they're going to turn around and say, hey, we wanted you to sign a non-disclosure. You can't share your information. You can't this. You have to take anything you have down, the whole 9 yards, and we're going to give you this fat check. It ain't about the fucking money. It's the fact you came after my motherfucking family and everybody else's, and I'm going to burn you the fuck down. I'm done. Gen X is done. You woke the sleeping motherfucking giant when you woke up Gen X. You fucked up. You fucked up. Because we ain't got no fucks to give. We've seen it all. We've seen it all go down. We've lived through the, even some of us before our time, the Kennedy assassination, Richard Nixon and Tricky Dicky and all the stuff they had, the Watergate scandal, the other scandal, the Monica Lewinsky scandal, this scandal, that scandal, all these other little things that have gone out there. And it never got our lives any better. And we were always told the harder you work, the better off you'll be. And it was a lie.
Right.
There was no American dream. You were slaves. You were disillusioned. And you know how they got a hold of you? They dangled all the fancy electronics and stuff because the new electronics became the new Coliseum. Football, baseball.
We were just talking about that. I think on I think I was just telling that story on Tiff and the Punisher show, where we were the first people in our neighborhood to have a VCR, and you would have thought we were the richest people on the block, man, and we weren't. Like, people thought that we were it. Like, for 2 days we watched Raiders of the Lost Ark nonstop, around the clock, baby. Everybody else got to look from outside the windows. You didn't come in the house with your shoes on, and that was wintertime in Nebraska. So. But
we've been disillusioned with so much, and it's been the same thing since the Roman Empire. That it's the same tactics, the same tricks, and now I guess Venezuela has actually come out and said, yes, the Americans, the deep state, the corporation, did help Adolf Hitler escape to Venezuela and have 2 children. That's the report coming out from the Venezuelan government saying this. Whoa. But once again, read Project Paperclip, please, and understand. It's not a joke. It's a real thing. They brought those people over because we wanted their science and some of the things that they knew and so on and so forth. I bet you most of you didn't know that Germany had a post at the North Pole and the South Pole. Did you? And that their Panthers and their tanks were designed for ultra cold in the Antarctic.
I'll tell you what, you go ahead and look up that. I believe it was it Charles Lindbergh that was down there in the Antarctic. Was it Lindbergh that flew in that flew down there? It was one of those awesome captains or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, he passed out, and he swears that he went over that wall, and he swears when he opened his eyes, there there's those fighter jets that had swastikas on them that were flying him back over, and because he was gone for 3 days. I think it was Lindbergh. He was gone for 3 days. They say.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm gonna have to look that up now. But
but listen,
I mean,
here's the other thing that most people don't know. Did you know that the United States, as well as all other nations, and that was part of the formation of the UN, was the fact that we all created a treaty that after you get around the ice wall and everything else towards the North Pole and everything else there, that you cannot even go towards that ice wall, that you will be intercepted by a military vessel?
You'll get shot. Yeah, that's what they say.
And listen, I know a few people. I know a few people that have been there, been stationed there. Let me tell you something.
Down that little America, little America down there, little Italy. I mean,
there's a whole lot more than what we're doing. Matter of fact, Russia just recently breached it by going through that, and they found a whole city that was all gold,
of course,
encased in ice.
Yeah, well, a lot of them cities you go further back, they ain't encased in ice because something's shooting the missiles off. And there's some big people down there, and there's weird looking people, and there's all kinds of things on them ice walls, man. But that's for another conversation. That's for a whole nother conversation. And don't forget, other thing, we're not lawyers. It's all entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, and like I said, guys, how is this all connected? It's because it's all connected because they want the power to overtake where somebody had. The whole point of the New World Order, or the American, they call it the American Bar Association or the Bar Association. It's still an international group. And everybody says, oh, that's not what the bar means. Really? Because our president just called it the British accreditation. What was it? That they call it, and called it out. Yeah, it is. Registry. That's what it is. So, yeah, it's a real thing. Yes, we were going towards globalization. Do you know what they're dismantling right now with everything they're doing? Globalization. Anything that's globalization bullshit is being the whole cow fart, the whole nope, we're going back to
for now.
That's a bunch of crap.
For now, man. For now. I mean, we can all wake up as America and we the people and take over what we're supposed to take over. We need to realize that Donald Trump gave us a gift to use and to work with here. And if we're not smart enough to pick it up, put the pieces together and make this thing work, then we don't know what's going to come. We got 2 more years really, guys, of this, to make this we the people thing work. And we need to. And the first thing that we got to do is get all these kids home and get our families back together. That's what needs to happen. And that's the beauty of what we're working on. Hand that in, and it's give me my kids back now. Yes, no more money. They're going to be called out for Social Security fraud on this thing, defrauding the United States government. Up their ass. I want my daughter.
All of it. Give me. We got you. We got you. It's over with. You're hereby put on notice. And what's the judge going to do? Keep going? Well, we're
just all those guillotines, right? Get the guillotines out that Biden bought.
Oh, wait a minute. Didn't Kash Patel just put that out there that they paid for all of them? And you think that had anything to do with what we got going and popping? Guillotine, treason, sedition. Some of y'all better be shaking your boots. And some of you out there, law enforcement, if you're watching this, let me explain this too. It's not your fault. You were following order, but here's the issue we have as the people. You violated your oath. That's why people don't trust law enforcement. You stood down when you should have took that letter that came from the state and shoved it up their ass and went and arrested them for charges of treason and sedition. Who is to say that is telling the sheriff's department, you have no authority to govern or watch over me. I am untouchable. That's what that did. And you know what I found out too? You know who writes those CPS handbooks?
Yeah.
The commissioner. Your CPS commissioner is the one who writes those books. How many of those books went to the law librarian to make sure that they're constitutional? Because here's the issue. If they did, then you've got an issue with your state's law librarian. A huge one. Mass corruption. And if so, then you're going to have to go through everything and wonder what else did they let slide through that's unconstitutional. We're talking about a full inspection and bringing every state back under the Constitution. Now you've got a bunch of people, we'll say, we'll be conservative, Darren, we'll say 50,000 people. Now you got 50,000 people plus this case. Case is over with and everything else. No state has jurisdiction. They have learned to unplug under all this stuff. They have their own case they can file because now you've been part of this case as a witness. You can cite that in your filing and reference the case number. I'm a federal witness in this case against the state for unconstitutional practices and policies and procedures and against all their actors. Their actors being CPS, the judges, the magistrate, the police, whoever's involved in that, they're all actors is what they're considered. So mess with a federally protected witness, they don't care what the state says. They'll drop the damn hammer. They don't play with that. That's the secret that we took and found out too, that we can give to the people to say, kids, now, but it's a closed case, or it was closed 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It don't matter. Give me my kids back, or now you're put on notice. Now, listen, I did get contacted by somebody that says, listen, I want to hold them accountable, but where my child is now is in a much better place than I could take and provide, and I want to leave them there. And I want to work with, I am working with the adoptive parent or foster parent. It is a better situation. That is 100% your choice. But if you want that, you have every legal and constitutional right to demand your child back and say, here you go. Now tell me where my child is. You got 24 hours to, return my child to the front door of my home. I'm not even going to waste the gas. You're going to bring them back. And no more CPS, no more this. Now all of a sudden the whole court system is going, what do? We've just been notified. That means they can't adjudicate. It means the CPS people that are involved in your cases can't be on any other cases. Why? You're actively involved in a case for treason and sedition, and you've been notified. Therefore, you are now stripped by we the people of all your jurisdiction and power through the federal court system. That's what they don't want you to know. That's
which they never had originally anyway, but now they're really put on blast.
Oh, huge. And when they do it, guess what else is going to be in there? The USC code for tampering with a federal witness and how it applies to all state actors. I'm not going after you people that are here in the courtroom. I'm a witness against the entire state and the whole system. That's what you're writing your affidavit for, and that's how we're using it. That's why it's specifically about just your constitutional rights. And then you go in there with the power of the Constitution of we the people are the government. You are now put on notice. You're done. We know everything about it. We have all of it. Let alone, I believe we've got some research that we're finishing up on. A couple of people, I'm not mentioning any names. We're not going to do it. And but actually the names of the organizations and businesses that are trafficking our kids internationally. An American citizen or American baby or child being shipped to a different country as a resident and citizen of this country outside the country. Now, the other thing I know that Darren and I have been working on, I've got the information, I think, to Chris. She got hers taken care of. Sharon's got hers taken care of. I did send the information to Brenda and Danielle. I did send it to Tiff. I did speak to Tiff tonight, earlier today, is being part of the IFPO of getting everybody on these shows, proper accreditation, and the power of the press to become legally press. In other words, we're on a international registry. Anywhere we go or anything, we have press passes. They're fully recognized in the United States. It's the IFPO was the only one that's recognized here in the United States and internationally. The other one is like USA something or something. It's just American press. That just a lot of them just do. I'm from America, but those people that were going over to, say, Desert Storm and those, and you seen them reporting from the war fields and this that, they had to be international press because they were abroad. They couldn't report on something in another country legally, being from this country, unless you had those proper credentials. So that's one thing that we're working on. Once again, that's IFPO, Darren, if you've got that. So we're making sure everybody gets in line with that. We're making sure that they follow the guidelines. Anything story that's brought to us, we're doing our own independent research and verifying everything. If not, we have to articulate this is a breaking story, or we're still doing research, making sure we're properly communicating. So there's a lot to this, and like I said, we wanted to make sure we had the protection too, because you ever try to mess with somebody that's from the press, do you know how well guarded, and I mean through the entire system, judges, the whole 9 yards, and the established case law of the power of the press for somebody that's in the press, not just saying I'm from the press, but being legally tied to it. You have to be legally tied to it. You just can't say, well, I'm the press. No, you have to go through the proper channels and get the proper accreditations and everything else for it. And that's where we weighed the difference between the two. And with doing things and coming across the international child trafficking ring and finding out where they're doing that. And once we can get a hold of that, then we can say we have American children over in this country, and we have American children over in this country. And they're the same ones that are bringing in kids from other countries, going back and forth and stealing kids. And there's even people out there that they'll pay them in some countries, Darren, and it's just disgusting. Like $5 or like a couple bucks for their kids, and they'll do it and they'll take it, but it's just in a hope that their children will have a better life in America. But the issue they don't tell them is they traffic the hell out of these kids in sex circles and all these disgusting things. And that's what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. He had an international ring. You guys haven't seen the other side of the story with the Epstein of the other countries he was working with. That's what they're working on, because a lot of that was a lot of politicians. I believe one of the persons on the list there was Prince Charles. Yeah, that's pretty big. And did you also notice too, Darren? There's still no, from our reports over in Great Britain, that actually I'm trying to think the name of it, but where the Queen is, and so on and so forth, there was that the castle there, that there's no coat of arms on the gates.
Buckingham Palace?
It's empty. Buckingham Palace, yeah. There's no seal on the gates. Did you guys know that somebody challenged for the hierarchy of Great Britain, that it was stolen from another family with illegitimate children, that they're saying that whole line is corrupt?
Oh,
this
really?
Guy actually has a case before Great Britain, everything else with his genealogy. I mean, it's crazy what's going on, that it goes back that far and then connected all the way to here, and how all the little pieces start to fit together. You go, oh, well, now it makes sense. Okay. And now you're getting the big picture of how this cabal, however you want to call it. As a matter of fact, Vladimir Putin just put out on a press release that they have discovered where the deep state is, and the Rockefellers. And he has blatantly said that we will now have a generation that will have no banking, no influence by the Rockefellers or BlackRock or anything, that Russia was breaking completely free from their financial banking institutions, which, once again, we're talking about the same thing here in America with shutting down the Fed. The Fed is not a government organization. It is a subcontractor for the state. We can pull that contract at any time and do something on our own. And a lot of people don't realize this. Why? You've not been taught it. Why? You've been entertained, but I can guarantee you can tell me what the next video game's coming out or what's going on with this particular thing. I mean, we used to watch The British Family. Remember that growing up? Princess Diana, you know how many women went nuts over that crazy stuff?
Oh yeah, man, that was it. Yeah,
It was,
you're sure
yeah.
right.
I mean, there was a lot of connection with that. I mean, and that's how we were tied. Yes, we were, but we kind of gave things up at the end of the Civil War. If you do your history, we were broke. So you had to get a contract. And who was the contract with? Well, Great Britain was, making contracts with the North. Who was doing stuff with the South? The French. That's why you get a lot of the Louisiana, and you got the French down in there. That's where that came from. Yes.
Yeah.
Do your history. They don't want to teach you that part of history, do you? Then they want to tell you about, the funny one I love too, Darren, that I got into was the Boston Tea Party.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Did you? I did a historical study on that, like the painting and everything else. And it had nothing to do with great. The problem is they were buying cheap tea from somebody else. So now this tea sitting on the boats, just going bad, said, well, let's just sell it real cheap. Well, the guy that was making cheap money and stealing the business from him said, oh, hell no, you're not going to undercut me. I'll throw your shit overboard.
Right?
That's what happened. Had nothing to do with taxation without representation. It was a business transaction. It was a what do you call that? A hostile takeover.
Yeah. Sure as hell
was business.
All these wars are about that, but nonetheless.
Well, at the same time, here's the other thing we gotta ask too, Darren. Now that we know what happened to JFK and everything else, what does that tell us about our involvement in Vietnam, Korea, Desert Storm, all those things we sent Americans over to die for what?
Poppy fields.
I mean, that one hurts, especially here on Memorial Day. Those that we've lost. Has it really been because of a corporation or somebody else, or because of American grit?
Every one of those people that died for this country, and I will never ever, no matter what it was for, they're not going to die in vain. They will always be died.
Absolutely not. That's not where I was going. I'm just saying to question: should we have even been in those conflicts though? Because were they for the right reasons, or were they for somebody else's objective and personnel? Did it really have to do with the American people? I mean, that's, I guess that's the kind of roughage to sit back now that we know about JFK and Lyndon B. Johnson and everything else and all that's coming out and going, yeah, we kind of knew it, but damn. But what does that mean for us today now that the curtain's been pulled back? So, well, I guess we've got a couple of other, let me see here. But yeah, guys, we're going to just wrap this up. And I know a lot of you guys say, hey, I want to see the video again. I want to see a video again. Darren, thanks for joining me this evening, man. Check out Dick and the Punisher.
Yeah, we're back tomorrow at 7, full-fledged.
Darren's back in the saddle. The CPS Punisher is back. He's mad as hell. And now let's cover one other thing. There was a lot of scuttlebutt and everything else going on with this shit in Georgia. But now I asked you one question. When they pulled you over, what was it they said? They never read you your rights out. Can I see your license or anything else?
They said, we have the Punisher. We have the CPS Punisher.
Tell me. Yeah, it's that real. It's that real, guys. This fight's here. And here's the thing. Do you think Darren's willing to pay the price for this to get kids home? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think I'm willing to do all this and what last little bit I've got left in my heart to my last breath to fight for this? Yes. Do you think Sharon's got it in her to do that? Yes. Do I think Chris has got it in her to do that? Yes. Do I think you out there has the ability as the American people to do that?
Right, you do.
Yes. I believe in the American people. I believe in we the people. I have to, because I believe in our Constitution.
Yes, sir.
And that's the bottom line. So, guys, let's finish it up. We're going to play the video again. We're going to call it a night. See you next week. Hopefully, we'll keep you apprised. Keep on the show's Facebook page and stuff like that. We'll keep you updated as these things come out. Make sure you like and share everything, especially here on YouTube and on Facebook. We'll update you the best we can, and as things come out, make sure you're making your voices heard. Tell your story. over and over and over again till they're sick of hearing it, and tell it across the world, and then say, but we have a solution. All these other movements, I'm going to put it this simple way as this, and I can't put it any clearer. And it's either get on board or get the fuck out of the way, because we're done.
Yes, sir.
Either get on board with this or get out of the way. But we're not going to allow you to take advantage of people and do this other thing. We're done with that. I know there's a lot of things going on with other groups that have been around, that there's some other things going on. I believe Miss Tiff is going to address something very dear to her heart on the next Tiff and Punisher that you do not want to miss out. You don't. Because there's a lot of people that have been throwing our names out and doing this and doing that. Understand this. The only people in control of this case is our tight little circle. Everybody else is just a witness, and they don't have power to do jack. Let's just make it real clear with that. So there's where we're at. Guys, appreciate you. Check us out. Keep up to date. Love on each other. Do something for yourself. Make sure that if you need help and support, reach out. There's a whole group of us out there now. And now's the time. And it's time to bring it home, bring the kids home, and get done. And let's get it done. And I listen, fact over lies, it's rude. But here's the thing. Name one other person that's going to, or any other movement that's going to get your kids home. Nobody else can say that. Nobody else can give you, once you get the affidavit and we get this done, to turn into the court and say, give me my kids back. Name one other movement that can do that. Zero. And we've looked at every single one we can. Several of us, we've looked at it. And you may think it's rude, but listen here. I ain't here to win your feelings. Your feelings are your responsibility. And if you don't believe me, go talk to Sharon, because she'll tell you the same damn thing. Those are yours. This is about bringing kids home and ending the unconstitutional bullshit. Bottom line. And I don't care if that hurts your feelings or not. That's your problem. Your feelings are your responsibility. All I care about is getting these kids home and restoring our family and going back to the Constitution. And that's all we have to say about that, because that's all there is to it. Guys, thanks again. Have a great evening.
Yeah, everyone.
Oh, hold on. I don't know if it's going to do it.